Mahama orders review of NLA KGL contract. That story is on page 21 of the paper. Also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, page 22, Ken Ofori-Atta to appear before U.S. immigration judge January 20. That's according to the Attorney General. We'll get into the details shortly. Also, SNID increases monthly pensions by 10%. But they say that it is inadequate. That is also on page 11 of the paper. Still on page 11 of the Ghanaian Times, deposit mobilization strategy strengthens NIB PLC's financial performance. On page 11 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The back page has some sports for us. 11 Wonders grab season's second win. GPL Mediema Titan grip Kotoko drop points again. Also, Wayo's late strike gives Hearts edge over Hohoi United. These are the stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. We'll get into the details pretty shortly. And now to the Daily Guide newspaper on the front page. Ken is the leader Ghana wants. That's according to Natoshi. Natoshi says that Ken is the leader that Ghana wants. Also, the big story on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Samira cries foul over Bawumia smear campaign. We'll get the details also later in the day. The Archives newspaper. Tema Dawinya Road project crawls as commuters suffer. Motorists lament heavy traffic, accused contractor first car of go slow. We'll get to the details shortly. KGL welcomes review of NLA contract, commits to delivering greater value to government. That's on page 3 of the paper. Polluted River Ewusu shows signs of recovery after NIMA's operation. That's on page 5 of the Archives newspaper. Polluted River Ewusu shows signs of recovery after NIMA's operation. We'll get the details. I will tell you what exactly the paper is saying. Hohoi MP fights Amewu over ownership of stadium as roads deteriorate, government policies untrumpeted. These are the stories on the front page of the Archives newspaper. We'll get to the Today newspaper. On the front page, HIV infection surge in Ghana amid high prevalence among female sex workers, homosexuals. That's according to the NACP. And that story is on page 3 of the Today newspaper. We'll get to the details also shortly. Also on the front page of the Today's newspaper, corruption fight still government priority. Corruption fight still government priority, according to the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman. We'll get to the details also shortly. And finally, on the front page of the Today newspaper, unauthorized students prohibited from registering for the WASI examination. Unauthorized students prohibited from registering for the WASI examination. And now to the Supreme newspaper. They say that Bryan Blocks Bawumia, that's on page 3 of the paper, from meeting Kumohene Ofori-Atta spits fire. Bryan Blocks Bawumia, that's on page 3, from meeting Kumohene Ofori-Atta spilled fire. We'll get to the details shortly. Also, KK Sapon backs Kennedy Japan for NPP 2028 flag bearership on page 3 of the paper. Angela List granted bail as CID probes alleged multi-million-dollar embezzlement at BCM International. Also on the front page of the Supreme newspaper, Ghanaians fume over alleged NDC slots in security services. On page 4 of the Supreme newspaper, KGL welcomes review, committed to delivering more value to NLA and GRA. Police grab 7 highway robbers, and Okri MP launches Get Okri walking tourism campaign at Edukrom Ojura. Also on page 3 of the paper. At the back page, some sports as well. Venus Williams, 45, set to make Australian Open. Okay, we'll get the details also. Ruben Amorim fired by Manchester United after turbulent managerial spell. The Daily Post on the front page, deposit mobilization strategy drives NIB PLC performance. That story is on pages 6 and 7 of the paper. It comes with the pictures of the managing director of the NIB in a group photograph with Bipura Jinapo II, paramount chief of the Bupe traditional area, and vice president of the National House of Chiefs. There's also the overlord of the lobby people of Gua in Burkina Faso after the NIB stakeholder meeting to highlight the national and regional importance of the bank's transformation. Ofori-Atta could be in Ghana sooner than expected. That's according to the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Shrem Sai. We'll get to the details shortly, that Ofori-Atta could be in Ghana sooner than expected. We'll get that shortly. No Ghana card, no forex transaction. Government announces new measures in anti-money laundering drive, according to the Daily Post. Now to the Custodian newspaper. Bawumia is NPP's best for 2028. That story is on page 3. 118 parliamentary candidates affirm, and that happened last week. Some 118 candidates, well, parliamentary candidates, they gathered at the press center here in Accra, and they threw in their support for Dr. Bawumia, one of 5 aspirants for the flag bearership race of the NPP. Also, KGL backs contract review, committed to adding value to NLA and GRA. Ken promises jobs under his presidency. That's on page 2. Minority decries choking insecurity under Mahama, also on page 2 of the paper. And still on security, police arrest notorious highway robbers. That's on page 4 of the paper. Also, 70% of GIGSM loans for poultry, rice, garments production. That's according to the CEO, and on page 12 of the paper. To the Republic Press newspaper, Bryan makes waves up north with massive endorsement. Bryan makes waves up north with massive endorsement. That is on the front page of the Republic newspaper. Also continued on page 3 of the paper. Police grab 7 highway robbers. KGL welcomes review, committed to delivering more value to NLA and the GRA. Ken Ofori-Atta rejects help from Ghana embassy in US in absence of lawyers. Momo vendor allegedly commits suicide in Hohoi. Mahama running Ghana with blood money, according to the minority. They say that President John Dramani Mahama is running Ghana with blood money. That's on page 7 of the paper. And it comes with the picture of the deputy whip of the minority, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. The exclusive newspaper now, front page, KGL welcomes review, committed to delivering more value to NLA and GRA. Police arrest 7 notorious highway robbery syndicate, retrieve firearms. GES threatens sanctions over illegal WASI registrations. SNIT raises minimum pension by 36.52%. Crime drops as IGP outlines pleas reforms. NDC leadership denies knowledge of recruitment letter. These are the stories that the exclusive newspaper is reporting this morning. I'll take you to the Daily Democrat, the front page, banner headline: Deposit mobilization strategy drives NIB PLC's performance. GES wants heads against illegal WASI registrations. SNIT pension up 10% to 36.52% for 2026. DVLA assures car owners of adequate time for onboarding registration. KGL welcomes partnership review for delivering more value to the NLA and the GRA. Bryan Blocks Bawumia from meeting Kumauhene. Ofori-Atta spilled fire. The Traco dismisses money laundering claims in real estate. That's on the front page of the Daily Democrat newspaper. I have 3 more stories to go this morning. Now to the Insight newspaper. The front page, KGL welcomes review committed to delivering more value to the GRA and the NLA. Low-income pensioners get major boost as SNIT raises minimum pensions by 36.52% for 2026. We'll get the details. I like how the papers they're each framing it differently. Some say that SNIT pension up by 10% and the pensioners are unhappy. Others say SNIT pensions up to 36.52%. Means completely very different things. I like the idea. Also, Mahama outlines 5-pillar agenda towards resetting Ghana. That's on the front page of the Insight newspaper. Lands Minister secures government assets, vows to rescue abandoned project. On page 5 of the Insight newspaper as well. Protesters urge UK government to grow a spine and stand up to Trump. That's on page 6 of the paper. 170 delegates of anti-imperialist forces launch united front against U.S. aggression in Venezuela and bullying of countries towards a third world war. These are some of the stories that the Inside newspaper has captured on this front page. I'll take you to the National Voice newspaper. The National Voice newspaper. KGL welcomes review committed to delivering more value to NLA and the GRA. 118 2024 NPP PCs declare support for Dr. Bawumia in presidential primaries. I'll expand my community engagement to mosque and other associations. That's according to Coca. And please grab 7 highway robbers. These are some of the stories that the National Voice is reporting this morning. And get some of the details. This one from the National Voice. 118 2024 NPP PCs declare support for Dr. Bawumia in presidential primaries. I'll read to you what the paper says. It says a large group of NPP parliamentary candidates from the 2024 general elections, they have publicly declared their support for Dr. Bawumia ahead of the party's presidential primary scheduled for January 31 this year. The endorsement announced at the press conference further consolidates internal backing for Dr. Bawumia, who is the NPP's 2024 presidential candidate and is seeking re-election to lead the party into the 2028 general election. The former parliamentary candidates described their collective decision as a clear demonstration of unity and cohesion within the party, noting that the majority of frontline representatives selected by the NPP in 2024, they are now rallying behind a single candidate, and that candidate, they say, is Dr. Bawumia. They said their declaration built on an earlier endorsement by 63 NPP members of parliament who won their seat in the 2024 elections, signaling growing momentum within the party's ranks. According to the group, the decision followed extensive consultations across party structures and the wider society. And these engagements included polling station executives, constituency executives, former party officers, councils of elders and patrons, as well as youth groups, market women, farmers, fisher folk, business leaders, opinion leaders, religious figures, and traditional authorities. They said the feedback from these consultations revealed overwhelming support for Dr. Bawumia across constituencies. The former candidate said their support was grounded in sober analysis, duty and conviction, and not influenced by inducement, coercion, or pressure. They say that they have not been pressured, they have not been induced, they have not been coerced. Their decision to throw their weight behind Dr. Bawumia, it is coming on the back of grounded, sober reflection, grounded, sober reflection, analysis of duty, and then conviction. They described Dr. Bawumia, the former vice president of Ghana, as a visionary leader with competence, integrity, and innovation, citing his role in Ghana's digital transformation, his contributions to economic management, and his leadership in initiatives such as the Domestic Gold Purchase Program, and broader macroeconomic stabilization efforts. They further presented Dr. Bawumia as the most prepared, the most experienced. They say he is the winnable candidate for the party's future, with a clear vision centered on digitalization, economic transformation, infrastructure development, human capital growth, agricultural modernization, and then good governance. The group pledged to work actively with him to secure victory in both the presidential primaries and future general elections. In Accra, during interrogation, Ishmael confessed to his involvement in the robbery and implicated Kwame Bediako, also known as Starboy, as the gang's ringleader. Following this lead, police apprehended Bediako at Abelempe Agapi Ablekuma Agape, I beg your pardon. The police arrested him at Ablekuma Agape. A search of his residence led to the discovery of a pump action gun hidden in a fence wall, along with 4 BB cartridges. The suspect admitted to multiple robbery incidents, confirming the group's extensive criminal operations along major transport routes, including the Tema Motorway, Achimota Forest Road, Pokuase, Amasama and Suhum, and Koko, and the Josu Kumasi stretch. And the suspect in custody now includes Salia Muhammad alias Kwekunua. He's only 27. Kofi Ishmael alias Ishmael Ado alias Kofi Ketwa, 32 years old. Kwame Bidiako alias Starboy alias Nkopo. There's also Kojo Kalovi alias Aticho. Then Mumuni Abdul Razak alias Mogambo. He is 39 years old. There's Kwesi Akambule alias Kwesi Fresh. Kwesi Fresh is 27 years old. And then there's Kwame Bonsu. And Kwame Bonsu is also known as Kilentia. The paper says that one suspect is currently receiving medical care while under police supervision. Authorities continue efforts to apprehend remaining members of the syndicate. Investigations revealed that the group had also been involved in previous armed robberies targeting market women and motorists, including a case that resulted in the death of a driver. And some of the gang members were reported to have jumped bail in pending court cases, underlying their persistent criminal behavior. Police have recovered firearms, ammunition, machetes, knives, mobile phones, and other items that they believe are proceeds of crime. And Superintendent Juliana Obing, the head of the public affairs of the Accra Regional Police Command, reassured the public that law enforcement is committed to cracking down on criminal activity. Citizens with information relevant to ongoing investigations have been urged to report to the nearest police station. President John Dramani Mahama has called for discipline, hard work, unity, and clear visionary path as he outlined a 5-pillar agenda aimed at resetting Ghana's economy and entrenching a development framework that endures beyond changes in government. Speaking at the 77th Annual New Year School and Conference at the University of Ghana, President Mahama said the country stood at a defining crossroads where the challenge no longer was about ability to govern itself, but about how well it governs. How sustainability affects the growth. I feel his goodness and his mercy from New York to New Jersey. No matter what they want, they get it from my God. My people, let me hear you say. While addressing academics, policymakers, and diplomats, traditional leaders, the president urged Ghanaians to move beyond short-term thinking and partisan policy reversals. arguing that progress made under one administration should not be dismantled by another. The president says that growth and consolidation must be permanent. The president says growth should be permanent. Growth and consolidation must be permanent, stressing that national development programs must be medium to long term and anchored in broad national consensus. He said the second mandate would be used deliberately to raise Ghana's economic and governance architecture to a level that no succeeding government can reverse, adding that democracy must deliver tangible improvements in livelihoods if public confidence in the system is to be sustained. The president's vision is structured around 5 interlinked pillars, which together forms part of what he describes as the Ghana we want. Number 1 is a vibrant and a resilient economy. And it says that under the first pillar, President Mahama said a sustainable Ghana must be built on a productive, diversified, and shock-resistant economy. He announced a decisive shift away from excessive dependence on raw material exports toward value addition, industrial production, and knowledge-based enterprise. He outlined plans to roll out policies requiring value addition to Ghana's minerals, petroleum, and agricultural products before exports. The second pillar, according to the paper, is human capital as the engine of growth. The second pillar places human capital development at the heart of national transformation. It says no nation has ever risen beyond the quality of its people. And President Mahama said, arguing that education, skills, health, and innovation are true foundations of sustainable development. He said government focus would go beyond access to education to emphasis on quality and relevance. The paper is environmental stewardship and climate resilience. A major focus of the address was the fourth pillar, environmental stewardship and climate resilience, where President Mahama warned that Ghana cannot build a prosperous future while destroying the natural foundations on which livelihoods depend. The clinical coordinator at the Shira Government Hospital in the Sunyani West Municipality. He has warned that the nation will experience more babies with body deformities. Warning that the nation will experience more babies with body deformities and abnormalities if we don't control galamsey, if illegal mining activities, popularly known as galamsey, are not brought under control. And he said decisive efforts, pragmatic and urgent measures ought to be put in place to stem the uncontrolled exposure of mercury into water bodies, food sources, and the environment. Newspaper, the Daily Democrat newspaper. This story is on education, and it says that GES warns heads against illegal WASI registrations. It comes with a picture of the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu. The story says that the management of the Ghana Education Service has cautioned heads of senior high and technical schools against the unauthorized registration of candidates for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. According to the GES, it has come to its attention that some school heads are illegally registering Form 2 students and private candidates for the examination, often in exchange for money. Management described the practice as unlawful and unethical, and GS clarified that heads of schools are authorized to register only Form 3 students. Only Form 3 students whose academic progression from Form 1, from year 1 to year 3 can be verified and traced in the school's official database. The registration of Form 2 students or private candidates by any school or by any school official is strictly prohibited. The service stressed that any head of school or official involved in such unauthorized registration, including the collection of fees, will be deemed to have engaged in misconduct and abuse of office. And the management warned that breaches of this directive will attract severe sanctions in line with Ghana Education Service and West African Examination Council's regulations without exception. The caution was contained in a statement signed by the head of public relations of the GES, Daniel Fengi. So if you are a school head, you are a school official, and you love to register students who are not in Form 3 because of the money that you get from it, the GS is warning you that be careful. The GS says stop it. Only register people or students who are in Form 3 and whose academic progression from Form 1 to Form 2 to Form 3 can be traced and can be verified. GS says that if you do this, you'll attract severe sanctions that will be in line with the Ghana Education Service and the West African Examination Council regulations. They say that if you do this, you are engaging in misconduct and then abuse of office. So beware and advise yourself. Says that the Social Security National Insurance Trust, SNIT, has announced a 10% increase in monthly pensions for the 2026 financial year, in line with its mandate to provide retirement income security for pensioners. According to the trust, the increment applied to all 261,000 pensioners on its payroll as of December 31, 2025. The increase is expected to incur an additional cost of 616 million cedis to the trust in 2026, and SNIT projects total pension payments for 2026 to exceed 7 billion cedis, with a total monthly pension payout of about 580 million cedis. In addition to the general indexation, SNIT announced an increase in the minimum monthly pension from 300 to 400 cedis, representing a 36% rise. And this will cover about 2,964 new pensioners, while existing pensioners on the minimum pension will see their payments rise to 409 cedis 56 pesos, 409 cedis 56 pesos from 300 cedis. That's the minimum. So from 300 cedis to 409 cedis 56 pesos. The Director General of SNIT, Mr. Kwesi Afrebine, speaking at a press conference on the 2026 indexation, said the increase reflected the Trust's commitment to improving the welfare of pensioners. And he explained that the increment was intended to enhance the purchasing power of pensioners, particularly in the face of changing economic situations. He said SNIT remain committed to ensuring that improvement in the economy translated into better benefits for pensioners, describing them as the core reason for the existence of the trust. We'll get more details also, and he disclosed that as of December 2025, SNIT had 202,000 The SNIT increased the minimum pensions to 600 cedis and implement pension increments of between 15 to 20%. So instead of the now 409 cedis, 56 pesos, and that is from the old 300 cedis. They are asking that the increment be taken to 600 cedis, and then the increment should range between 15 to 20%.
Why are you running?
But the recent increment in pension by SNIT did not meet their demands. Our petition requested SNIT to ensure that the 2026 pension adjustment restore parity or restore part of the significant erosion in the value of SNIT pensions caused by years of increases that lag behind inflation and the national minimum wage. This included raising the minimum monthly pension to 600 cedis and granting an average increase of 15 to 20%, the statement said. So between 15 to 20%, they have got 10%.
On 3FM, the best in the morning.
Says Ofori-Atta to appear before U.S. immigration judge on January 20th. That's according to the Minister Kenneth Nanayao Kuntunkunuku Ofori-Atta will appear before an immigration judge in the United States of America on January 20 after he was arrested for refusing to leave the United States. That's according to the paper. Dr. Dominic Kayeni, Ghana's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, has said, well, speaking to the media, Dr. Kayeni stated the U.S. Department of State gave Mr. Ofori-Atta up to November 29 last year to leave the United States upon the revocation of his B1, B2 visa, but he refused to do so. And the Attorney General and Minister of Justice explained that the appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before an immigration judge on Tuesday, January 20, 2026 was different from the extradition process. We know that Mr. Ofori-Atta, who left Ghana for the United States on January 4 for medical treatment at Mayo Clinic, Minnesota, according to the paper, was arrested on the morning of January 6, 2026 in Washington, D.C. by agents of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. People call them ICE, but popularly they're called ICE of the United States. Until his arrest, ICE Until his arrest by ICE, the former Minister of Finance was declared a fugitive of justice by Ghana's Office of the Special Prosecutor in connection with corruption-related offences. And Mr. Ofori-Atta, Strategic Mobilization Limited, a revenue assurance company, and 6 others were charged with 78 counts of alleged procurement breaches and then causing financial loss of about 1.4 billion cedis to the state. And the trial is ongoing before a high court in Accra. The facts are that Ken Ofori-Atta was arrested when he emerged from a magnificent luxury apartment building where he had been living in the U.S. by the ICE. When agents surrounded him, led him into a vehicle and drove him away to a detention facility 89 miles away. The paper says that the facts are that Ken Ofori-Atta was arrested when he emerged from, quote, a magnificent luxury apartment building. And that's where he has been living in the U.S. The paper says he was driven to the Caroline Detention Facility in Virginia, about an hour-and-a-half drive from where he was arrested. He was arrested at the entrance of the Westlight apartment complex in Washington, D.C. Sources say that Ken Ofori-Atta, until his arrest by ICE, lived in the Westlight building with his son and his wife. The Westlight building is less than a mile from the White House, about 20 minutes walk. Located in the affluent West End neighborhood of Washington, D.C. The Westlight building is renowned for its security and proximity to some of the city's most magnificent landmarks, attracting affluent and prominent residents. Side, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice has disclosed that Mr. Ofori-Atta declined diplomatic assistance from Ghana's mission in Washington, D.C. Quote, currently, the Ghana embassy in Washington, D.C. is trying to assist the former finance minister whilst in detention, but he is refusing to collaborate with the Ghanaian mission in assisting him to be removed from the detention center. But the statement from the camp of Ken Ofori-Atta says that he's refusing because his lawyers are not present. And of course, this is something we'll be keeping an eye on. We're bringing you details here on 3FM, on Sunrise, and all the media general platforms. As a call 0559-242-717 or 0556-910-154. Welcome to our Community Voices segment. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Brother, how are you?
I'm fine. Are you too?
I'm fine.